Hi, welcome back to my channel. I was going to do a little video on shadow work, which is something that I just sort of like watched a recent video on. Found it really interesting, definitely has helped me even listening to it this morning. I feel like a better person. So, please excuse me for eating at the same time. I was like, should I put makeup on? Like, I'm going to get myself looking nicer today, which I might do a video on, but for now, I feel like I look good enough. There's a filter on this camera probably, which I haven't added, but all cameras have a filter these days, so maybe it's not got a filter, I don't know. My skin looks smooth, good enough. So, basically, shadow work can be used as a way to integrate things within yourself that you might not see or want to look at in terms of your ego, the way you are. This can be from things like, you might have seen this in like a parent, or just might have, we use discernment as a child to encourage certain things about ourselves and discourage other things. And also things like trauma can discourage you from developing a certain side of yourself, or just your circumstance in general, and it's just normal. But if you're completely ignorant to a certain aspect of yourself, it will eventually come out in another way. So being aware of certain aspects of your personality just helps you vent it in a healthier way, and also heal from certain things that have actually created that dynamic in the first place. So certain things like emotional reactions, they can be like primitive, so like having envy, greed, selfishness, power, that sort of thing is like a primitive reaction to certain situations, and like, yeah, they can just, if you don't have the space to think about the reasoning for that and being more mindful of it, it can just affect relationships and even like how you feel yourself. You can develop illnesses and stuff like at an extreme level, or like even a mild level. Like if you have like mild depression or whatever, shadow work and stuff, integrating it could help free from some of those feelings, potentially. I'm not a doctor, I didn't take my word for it. I'm just saying it can help towards mental state and just feeling all round better. So apparently as well, if you ignore some of these primal, or these untapped or unthought of sides, you can also be losing out on things like confidence and like self-assurance as well. So often, like, the subconscious, you can't help how you're programmed as a child, and often we like go on like autopilot in your subconscious, which is really interesting. And you can just sometimes, like, even in your relationships, you could, like, we've all done it, like, you can sometimes be like mean or have bad feedback in a situation. I do think, like, you got to think about, and it goes with this, sometimes you can have bad feedback on a situation, and it can be your fault or another person's fault. Usually there's two sides in an argument, but I'm not saying like take every person's word as a fact, because sometimes people have really high narcissism and they're just projecting on you at the end of the day. So, but there can also be things within you, obviously, that you get feedback from that you might sort of want to explore a bit, and it can be kind of an uncomfortable process, but benefits outweigh apparently, and I've actually noticed that already. So there we go. So excuse me. So the whole process basically just makes you feel like less irritated about a lot of situations, and just realise that certain people like won't have the same outlook as you, and like how obviously we all embellish things about ourselves, we all like lie to ourselves about certain things, but doing that really is just like not gonna do a lot in terms of shadow work. So yeah, sorry, I'm just losing where I am. So it can be like it can be a bit of a shock to your body apparently when you actually get in touch with these like emotions that you like haven't really had much being in touch with. I think you can be in terms of like guilt and shame, and it can be kind of draining when you first start doing it apparently, but then once you like overcome it, it can be really freeing and helpful. So a few of the like ways to get into it then. Like obviously practically, like I don't think these are actually for let me just say, things like exercise and stuff and meditation. Like meditation is like long term, exercise is short term. Not having your phone has helped me. Actually, I've lost my phone for like a month, and it's actually really helped me mentally to like actually have like a dopamine detox to some extent. Obviously I've still been on a laptop, but it's helped with not having a phone. It's so funny how my brain's rewired even after that short time of not having a phone, because it is like designed for us to actually want to keep going on it. Obviously I just feel a lot more stable, weirdly enough. I don't know if that's all down to a phone, but it may well be, to be honest. I do feel a lot more stable in myself, and I'm always one of these people that I'm a bit like, always got something to do. Not always, but like I've always been a bit like of a flighty person, and I just feel a lot more grounded and not too bothered. So that's quite nice, probably because I'm always like on, like, you know, if your phone's anything, oh, should I just go through my photos, or you're waiting somewhere and you just want to be busy, or you want to focus on something, and I think focus is good, but focus can be shifted too much sometimes. So personality, yeah, you can then start observing your thoughts, not being so harsh on yourself, being aware and acceptance of certain personality traits. Because I was watching this girl and she just basically said how she thought she was genuinely evil at one point, and she thought she was like materialistic. For me it would be like that I'd be like ugly, like useless, like worth abusing. Yeah, sounds really depressing, but they would be my personality traits that I've like adopted through like guilt and shame, but are not actually true. And you can have guilt and shame by internalizing someone else's belief or your perceived belief of theirs, and basically, like, so you could call yourself ugly because you like don't feel that you have like, maybe you've seen someone get jealous of you, you've internalized that jealousy of them, made yourself feel shameful of a certain thing that you have, and that's then guilt and it's guilt of making them feel jealous, so you then suppress that side of yourself, which then just makes you really sad, because it's an obvious fact that people pleasing just hurts everyone around you and just displeases everyone. At the end of the day, it's just a counteractive mentality. I actually think, honestly, and I'm not a psychologist, but from all psychology I've looked at, it could be derived as some sort of childish instinct, because like to sort of like a sort of what is it, like a childish, like irrational like instinct to like get annoyed by other people and get attention because you don't feel comfortable doing a certain thing. Like, sorry, I've literally not making any sense there, and let me just explain a little bit better. But like, if you like basically are like get annoyed because you feel is projecting upon you, and being jealous of something that they perceive you to have, which we all do, which I'll get onto, you would then suppress that side of yourself as some sort of childish cry for help, if you like, because you're like, oh, I'm not being validated for the way I am, this person's making me feel uncomfortable, help, help, help. It's like a coping, attention-seeking method, which I don't think you're aware on a conscious level that it is. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just maybe an immature coping strategy for that, and to have a more mature coping strategy would probably be more beneficial. So anyway, digressing slightly, so basically having emotion, and looking at my core thoughts about my personality traits, etc. So having like thinking I was like ugly, useless, worth abusing, thinking about my later in life accumulating the idea that I might have slight BPD traits. Not saying I do have BPD, but borderline personality disorder, but I've noticed traits of that in myself, where I have this fear of rejection, this sort of like degradation of myself. I can't really remember actually all the traits of BPD now, but I think it's just like just thinking the worst and just being like that sort of thing. So having those sort of beliefs, I can imagine that they could have accumulated by festering in that childish mentality of they're not validating me for how I am. Natural as a human being to feel that way, especially as a child. So then you do eventually accumulate these beliefs of I'm useless, I'm worthless, because you're not being validated by those things, and I'm ugly because you don't validate yourself for being the perfect, beautiful human being that God made you. So basically it also helps like look at another person's position and like realise, once you've realised that either you do this to someone else or this has happened to you, you realise looking for another person's position that they won't always have the same mindset as you. And yeah, So I might split this into 2 videos because I have got quite a few notes on this, maybe even 3. But I think I'm going to swap to the next video now because we've already gone for 10 minutes. I don't want it to be like one of these ramble videos where you just get really bored and just click off and then don't pick up on like the tips and stuff. So I'm going to just try and make it into a more digestible video. So yeah, check out my next one if you're interested. Thanks, bye.